Hey guys, it is Ian Lives. Now today we're going to be talking about Hatchet. We're going to be ranking the Hatchet franchise. I've heard that it was kind of 80s slashers but in a more modern lens, which had me excited. And I heard about Victor Crowley and all this, so I decided to just watch the whole franchise. All 4 movies. Now it is rumored that a new one might be coming out soon, so we'll see with that. But the Hatchet franchise, I don't know what else to say. We're going to be ranking them from worst to best, starting off with the bottom of the barrel. Victor Crowley, number 4. Now, Victor Crowley is the latest installment in the franchise, and basically it takes the normal premise of you have this guy, Victor Crowley, you have the whole story behind him, and he's in this swamp and he's killing these people. But in this one, there's this whole plane crash involved, which didn't make sense. Just to run this down real quick, huge plot hole. You follow this guy who's a survivor in all the other movies, but he has his book signing or whatever, and these guys who are making a movie about Victor Crowley go to this book signing, right, to meet the guy. And the guy that has the book gets a call, and he has to go on a flight to go to the swamp where Victor Crowley is to do an interview. And these film guys are already there, even though the other guy has to take a plane. That didn't make sense. You get some cool appearances in here. You get Q from Impractical Jokers, which he's my favorite Impractical Joker, so a little biased there, but he was probably my favorite thing about the movie. He really was. You also get Felissa Rose, which, Sleepaway Camp, that's my favorite movie, and it was cool seeing Felissa Rose in here, but her performance wasn't incredible. Even Victor Crowley, who's played by Kane Hodder, by the way, even Kane Hodder's demeanor and performance in here wasn't as intimidating as some of the later sequels that I'm going to talk about. The makeup looked off. I don't know if it was just kind of goofy looking. It looked very off. Again, not as intimidating. Also, a thing that Victor Crowley does is it's the most comedic out of all of them, in my opinion. All of these obviously have the horror comedy mixture, which I think kind of gives it its own vibe, its own feel. But Victor Crowley goes for the over-the-top, headache-inducing humor that never works for me. So many stupid lines in here. This dialogue is horrible. The acting is bad. I would say the only good acting is from Kane Hodder, because, you know, he still does his thing. Felissa Rose still does her thing. And Q just is Q. He just plays himself, but he still does his thing, so. That's why Victor Crowley is at the bottom of the barrel. My least favorite. I didn't enjoy it nearly as much as the other ones, which sucks because this is the latest one in the franchise. And all these movies end like that. They end at Victor Crowley dying, which isn't a spoiler because it's just like Freddy Krueger or Jason. You always see them die at the end, but he always comes back. You see him die in here, and then they go, ah, and then it cuts. It cuts to credits. They do that in all of them, but it just feels like they wanted to do another Hatchet, but I don't know why Adam Green hasn't done one yet. But number 3, the second to worst, is going to be Hatchet 2. Now, this one disappointed me, which we'll talk about the first Hatchet pretty soon, but this one disappointed me because it started off really strong. They recast the final girl with Danielle, what's her name? The chick from Halloween 4 and 5, the little girl. They recast the final girl with her, which had me excited because I really like that actress. You also get some more backstory about Victor Crowley. You get more Tony Todd, which Tony Todd was in the first movie for like a sneeze. It's just boring, which is it's the least thing I expected from a Hatchet film. This one was just boring. You get these group of characters that are doing this thing on the swamp. They're looking for this boat, which was in the first movie where the boat went missing. So they get this whole crew of people to go to find this boat, which was stupid to begin with. That's just a stupid premise. You get these characters that are all idiots. You don't care about any of them. And the gore isn't even all that. I haven't mentioned the gore yet because the gore in Victor Crowley also wasn't spectacular. But this franchise, especially after watching it, it is known for its gore. Like, most of the kills, if not all the kills, are going to have blood everywhere. That's just what this Hatchet franchise is known for. The gore in Hatchet 2, now I didn't watch the unrated versions. I heard that the unrated versions are much better, but I couldn't find those unless I owned them on physical, which I don't own them yet. But Hatchet 2 is the tamest out of all of them. You don't get very cool. There's one cool kill scene where this guy's having sex with this girl and he gets his head cut off. There's not another memorable kill scene in that, to be completely honest. And honestly, a movie that I talk about much later, really, it adds on to the story of Hatchet 2, and it does it in a much more cool way. Victor Crowley, he's okay in this. I don't remember him being in this one a lot. He's probably in this one the least out of all the movies. But yeah, it was just very tame and mediocre. So, number 2 is going to be the one that started it all. Hatchet. Now, I had a lot of hope for this one, and I had a lot of expectations because I heard this being praised all over. Saying how it's like one of the best horror comedy slashers ever, and how it really tries to captivate what made 80s horror so fun and so good. So I really was excited to get into it. And the movie starts off strong. You get Robert Englund, and he plays this racist hillbilly, or homophobic hillbilly. It was either racist or homophobic, I don't remember. And he's on this boat fishing, and he gets brutally killed. And I was like, okay, I'm in. Even though I would have liked to see Robert Englund in the rest of the movie. The acting really holds it down. Now, thankfully, the other movies, you kind of know what you're getting into because they try to focus more on the comedy than anything. Hatchet 1 feels like it's not doing this on purpose. Like, it's just bad acting. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to explain. In the other movies, the acting's not perfect. But you can tell that it's satire. It's not supposed to be perfect. It's part of the charm, whatever. Hatchet 1, it has this dark feeling to it, and it kind of feels like it's supposed to be serious, but it's so laughable. The dialogue is, again, horrible. The characters are unlovable. But the gore in this one is spectacular, and it's better than any of the other movies. There are so many great scenes in here that involve jaws getting ripped off, heads getting stomped in. There's so many memorable practical effects in here that really bring up the movie. If the gore was mediocre, I probably would have said that this movie's not that good. But with the good gore and the enjoyable enough plot and, substance, I would say it's an okay movie. Again, it didn't win me over like I was hoping it would, but it definitely gave me hope for the other ones. Number 1 is going to be Hatchet 3. I was really surprised after I watched this movie. I absolutely loved it. Like, I loved this movie. Victor Crowley I didn't like. I wouldn't say I hated it, but I would say I think it's a bad movie. Hatchet 2 is below average. Hatchet is okay. Hatchet 3 is freaking incredible. It is so much better than any of the other movies. It's actually insane. And I was really surprised after I finished watching it that this had the worst reviews out of all of them. Now, people are saying that it just feels like a completely different movie. And that makes sense because this is the only one in the franchise not directed by Adam Green. Now, I'm not saying that I don't like Adam Green. And I really don't. I really don't know what it is that I don't like about the other ones. But this one has it's so much fun. It has a lot more fun with the concept that it's dealing with. It's a lot more stylish. It looks a lot cleaner and slick. The gore is spectacular. Danielle Harris, that's her name. She returns and she's just awesome in here. She's way better in here than in Hatchet 2. The movie starts off right where Hatchet 2 ended and gives one of the best opening scenes I've seen in a slasher film. I mean, that opening scene is incredible. I don't want to overhype it, but it's incredible. You get chainsaws and blood. It's almost like Evil Dead 2013 level. Okay, maybe that's a little too much. You also get Caroline Williams, which She was Stretch in Texas Chainsaw 2, and she's one of my favorite actresses. You know, like there's those actors and actresses in horror that make little cameos, like Felissa Rose and Bill Moseley. Like, they're just in all the horror movies, all the low-budget horror movies, B-movies. Caroline Williams is for sure probably one of my favorite ones. Now, Felissa Rose, obviously, she gets to step up because of Sleepaway Camp, but I love Caroline Williams, I always have, and she is incredible in here. She's very funny. The most complaints that I've heard about this is that the plot's not really here. And that's true. To even describe what this movie's about, like the rough plot, is Danielle Harris comes into the police station holding Victor Crowley's scalp, and she's all bloody, so they detain her, and she tells them what all happened. So they look at where she's talking about on the swamp, and they find all these bodies. So they get this SWAT team, and this SWAT team runs into Victor Crowley, and it just turned into a bloodbath. And it doesn't focus a lot on backstory like the other ones do, where they go back to flashbacks of Victor Crowley growing up with his dad. They don't do that in this one. They purely focus on the campy B-movie side of things, and that's what I wanted from this franchise. I just wanted silly, goofy funness. That's what I wanted. I didn't want it to be too goofy to the point where it's just stupid and bad. This one is right in the middle of perfectly comedic, perfectly gory, and horror. It's right in the middle, and I just love it. It's a great balance. You get Sid Haig in here. Sid Haig's hilarious in here. He got the most laughs out of me in this movie. So yeah, no hate on Adam Green, but the one movie that he didn't direct, I frickin' adored. I loved this movie. Not to overhype it or anything, I could see this being one of my favorite slasher movies in general, the more I watch it, because I had such a blast with this thing. The gore is great. The gore is really good. So, I think Hatchet 3 delivers everything I want. It has good, funny humor. It has all of the good. It has the best horror actors / actresses, cameos out of all of them, because I love Caroline Williams. I love Sid Haig. The acting is not horrible. It's not perfection, but it's like campy fun. The gore is incredible. And I don't know if I've even said that already. I can't get over how much I loved Hatchet 3. And I can't get over, I'm still like so shocked at how many people don't like this movie that love the Hatchet franchise, and they put this at the very bottom because they say that it ruins everything that makes Hatchet fun, when I think of it as the opposite. So that was my little Hatchet ranking. It goes Victor Crowley, Hatchet 2, Hatchet, and Hatchet 3. This was overall a fun franchise. There's only one that I would say I didn't like, and that was Victor Crowley. Hatchet 2 had some fun moments, but that middle chunk was very boring and stale. But overall, I can see where people are coming from. It has that campiness to it. It has the 80s feel. It's very nostalgic feeling, grindhouse feeling even. And you get a kick-ass performance from Kane Hodder as Victor Crowley. And I actually said this on Instagram. I think Victor Crowley in Hatchet 3, Kane Hodder's performance, is more intimidating and scarier than any Jason performance that Kane Hodder has done. Don't know if that's a hot take, but sue me. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please subscribe. Turn on that bell. It means a lot. Follow my Discord, link in the description below. Follow my Instagram at IanLives_. Follow my Letterboxd at wehateian. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.